Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Students, you can't go back and change the beginning. Instead, you can start where you are and change the ending. What I mean to say is that we can't hit rewind and start over. That is, there are chapters in the past that we can't change. Those chapters do not determine how your story ends. The ending has a lot to do with your choices which you make today.
With that positive note, let's begin today's session. Today we will be discussing an experiment in which we will try to find the focal length of a convex mirror using a convex lens. Now students, we all are aware that the nature of the image obtained in the case of a convex mirror when an object is placed in front of it is always virtual, erect and diminished. So since the nature of the image is virtual in the case of a convex mirror, thus the focal length of a convex mirror has to be obtained by using a convex lens. In order to perform this experiment, we will be requiring these apparatuses: an optical bench, 4 uprights. 2 uprights will be used to place an object needle and an image needle. 1 upright will be used to place a convex mirror and the 4th one will be used to place a convex lens. So we'll be requiring a lens holder as well as a mirror holder. Then a knitting needle is required so as to find out the index correction. And students, one thing to be noted is that the focal length of the convex lens should be sufficiently large. Actually, it should be larger than the focal length of the convex mirror. So, in order to understand the description of the apparatus which we will be using, let's watch this video.
It is an arrangement so as to measure the focal length of a given convex mirror by using a convex lens. It is an optical bench and is frequently used in all focal length experiments. It is horizontal bed usually of a metal and has a meter scale along one side marked in centimeters. The uprights can be mounted on this bed and can be moved forward or backward or sideways and clamped in any position. The uprights carry needles of adjustable height. It is an upright in which an optical needle is fixed. This upright can slide freely along the length of the optical bench and it can be fixed in any position. In this case, it's an arrangement, it's a screw given which can be used for the lateral movement to bring the needles and the mirror or the lenses in one straight line. And an index mark is made at the base of each upright. And the position of the upright are read against these marks. These are the screws provided at the bottom so as to clamp the upright in any position. This is a mirror or a lens holder in which a mirror or a lens can be placed. This is a screw provided in the holder which can be used to place the lens or the mirror in this chamber properly and appropriately. Now let's take a convex lens and place this lens in this holder. Now, in one upright, we need to clamp this holder. An optical bench is also provided with a leveling screw. This leveling screw can be rotated either clockwise or anti-clockwise so as to place the optical bench perfectly horizontally. For that, we make use of a spirit level, bubble level, or simply a level. It is an instrument designed to indicate whether a surface is horizontal or not. To use a spirit level correctly, it should be positioned in the center of the object you are leveling, and if the object is level, then the bubble will sit between the 2 marks. In some uprights, there is an arrangement or a screw which can be rotated either clockwise or anti-clockwise for the lateral movement to bring the needles and the mirror or the lenses in one straight line.
Students, in all the experiments involving optical bench and determination of the focal length of a mirror or a lens, we need to know about the parallax, and basically we need to understand the technique of locating the position of the image by removing the parallax. So in order to do that, let us again watch this beautiful video which will help us in understanding the concept.
To understand the technique of locating the position of the image by removing the parallax, consider that the two needles A and B are placed at different distances from the eye in line with it. In the first figure, if the eye is moved towards the left, the needle A, which is lying near to the eye, moves in a direction opposite to the direction of motion of the eye, while the needle B, lying farther from the eye, it tends to move in a direction same as that of the movement of the eye. On the other hand, concentrate on the second figure. When the eye is moved towards the right, again the needle A moves in the opposite direction and the needle B moves in the same direction. Now if the two needles are brought near each other by moving either of them, it will be found that the shift of a needle from the line of common sight also goes on decreasing. The line of common sight is shown by the dotted lines. Now, the parallax between the two needles decreases as the two needles are brought near each other. And when the two needles come to lie at the same point, there will be no sidewise shift at all. That is, there will be no parallax between the two needles. Thus, if the two objects lie at the same distance from the eye, that is, lie at the same point, there will be no parallax between them. Now let us try to understand the technique of locating the position of the image by removing the parallax. For this, the height of the needle is to be adjusted so as to have tip-to-tip coincidence. If I move my head to and fro, keeping one eye closed, then there is a relative shift between the inverted image of the object needle and image needle. Therefore, when the eye is moved either way, a gap appears between them, and thus parallax is said to exist. Therefore, a parallax is the relative displacement between the two objects, an object and a needle, or between two needles at different distances from the eye, when the eye is moved either way, that is, left or right. By adjusting the position of the upright by moving it forward or backward so that the parallax is removed between the needle and its inverted image as seen in the mirror. In this position, the needle and its image move together when the eye is moved to the left or right. When the two needles come to lie at the same point, there will be no sidewise shift at all. That is, there will be no parallax between the two needles.
Students, in order to eliminate error on account of the difference in the actual value and the measured value of the distances of the object needle and the image needle from the mirror or the lens, we need to apply index correction.
In order to apply index correction, a knitting needle is taken and its actual length, which is considered to be x, is measured with a meter scale. The heights of the two uprights are adjusted so that the tip of the needle O is just in line with the center or the pole of the lens or the mirror. Then the knitting needle is held between the mirror or the lens and the needle O so that its one end touches the center of the mirror or the lens and the other end touches the tip of the object needle. The difference in the readings of the two uprights over the scale of the optical bench gives the observed length of the knitting needle when held between the concave mirror or the convex lens and the object needle. So the index correction for the observed object distance would be x minus y. This is a knitting needle whose one end points at the reading of 40 centimeter while the other end points at the reading of 65 centimeter. So the length of the knitting needle is 25 centimeter. Now, We are supposed to hold this straight knitting needle between the mirror and a needle mounted in the upright. One end of the knitting needle should touch the pole of the mirror, while the other end should touch the tip of the needle. Now note the position of the index marks of the mirror and the needle uprights on the scale of the optical bench. So it comes out to be 25.5 centimeter. So actual distance is 25 centimeter while the observed distance is 25.5 centimeter. So the index correction would be 25 minus 25.5. That would give us minus 0.5 centimeter. The index correction may be positive or negative and is always algebraically added to the observed distance.
Now students, let us draw the ray diagram for the image formation in the case of a convex mirror. This is a convex mirror, right? This is the center of curvature and this is the principal focus and this is the pole of the convex mirror, right? So this is suppose AB, it's the object which is placed in front of the convex mirror. Now let's draw the ray diagram. Now we are aware students, a ray which is incident on the convex mirror parallel to the principal axis. Then after reflection, what happens is it will diverge, it will appear to be coming from the focus like this. Behind the mirror, it should be represented by dotted line. So the ray will reflect it back into the same medium. So it basically diverges, and this is the reason why a convex mirror is also known as a diverging mirror, right? So ray parallel to the principal axis, after reflection it will appear as if it is coming from the focus. And let's make use of another rule, students. Now suppose this is another ray which is coming from the object and incident normally. Normally means it should appear as if you extend this line, then it should meet at the center of curvature. So here the angle of incidence is 0. So the angle of reflection will also be 0. So it will get reflected back and it will retrace its path in the opposite direction. So students, here these are the two virtual lines which are meeting over here. So here the virtual image will be formed. This is the virtual image. This is suppose A dash and B dash. So what we notice is that in the case of a convex mirror, the image is always formed behind the mirror. So nature of the image is, it is virtual and erect, as the image is formed behind the mirror. Then image is diminished in size. And obviously it is formed between the pole and the focus. So students, as the image produced by a convex mirror is virtual in nature, therefore it cannot be located by parallax method, and hence the focal length of the convex lens cannot be determined directly as was in the case of a concave mirror. However, the focal length of the convex mirror can be found by using a convex lens, which we will try to discuss. Students, we are aware that a spherical mirror is actually a part of a hollow sphere, the center of which is known as the center of curvature. Now students, we are aware any line joining from the center to the surface of the sphere, it will act as a normal. This will act as a normal. Any line which is joining from the center to the surface of the sphere will act as a normal, right? So now what happens is, if a ray is incident, suppose like this is the incident ray. Now here the angle of incidence is 0 degree. Therefore angle of reflection must also be 0 degree. Perfectly as per the law of reflection, angle of incidence should be equal to angle of reflection. So this ray must get reflected and it must retrace its path in the opposite direction. In case the ray is incident at point P along the principal axis, then it will also be the case of normal incidence. So here, the ray again, after suffering reflection, it will tend to retrace its path in the opposite direction. Because in all the three cases, the angle of incidence is 0 degree and therefore the angle of reflection would be also 0 degree, right? So any incident ray which is directed towards the center of curvature, now after suffering reflection, it will tend to retrace its path in the opposite direction. Concentrate on this particular diagram. This is a convex mirror, right? This is the pole, this is the center of curvature, and as I've stated, PC, the distance between the pole and the center of curvature, is known as the radius of curvature, right? And this is where the principal focus is, and we are aware that PF, it is the principal focus, and the relationship between principal focus and the radius of curvature is F, it's equal to half the radius of curvature. Now suppose, students, this is the object needle, right? And this is the convex mirror. These are to be placed on the two uprights. Now what we need to do is that a convex lens must be placed between the convex mirror and the object needle, right? Such that the needle, it lies between F and 2F of the convex lens, right? Now students, when this convex lens is introduced between the convex mirror and the object needle, and their relative positions are adjusted in such a manner that there is no parallax between the object needle and its inverted image, that is when seen through both the lens as well as the mirror. So then the rays will fall normally on the convex mirror. That we will discuss with the help of ray diagram. As I have stated, the relative positions of the object needle, convex lens and the convex mirror are so adjusted that there is no parallax between the object needle and its inverted image when seen through both the lens as well as the convex mirror. Now students, this would happen only when the image of this object O, this is the image I dash of this object O, is formed at O itself as it is shown in the diagram. That is, when the rays from the object needle after refraction through the convex lens falls normally on the convex mirror. It is falling normally on the convex mirror. So here the angle of incidence is 0 degree. So what will happen is that after reflection, what will happen is it will retrace its path like this. It will retrace its path in the opposite direction, right? As I stated over here, for normal incidence, angle of incidence is 0, so angle of reflection will be also 0. Clear? So basically, when the rays from the object needle after refraction through the lens falls normally on the convex mirror, then they tend to retrace their paths on reflection from the convex mirror. And the point to be noted is that students, the rays which are refracted by the convex lens would fall normally on the convex mirror only when these rays are directed towards the center of curvature, right? This is what I stated earlier. So by locating the position of C, the distance PC, which is equal to the radius of curvature of the convex mirror, can be measured. Now, in order to locate the position of this center of curvature, what to do is we will remove this convex mirror, right? So this convex mirror is removed now. Now students, without disturbing the position of the convex lens and the object needle, what we are supposed to do is we will place an image needle I, and its distance is so adjusted that there is no parallax between the tip of this needle and the inverted image of the tip of the object needle. This one shown by the dotted arrows, this is actually the inverted image, right, of this object needle. So there shouldn't be parallax between these two. This is the image needle and this is the inverted image of this object. Now we need to position the image needle I over here, and this distance pi, it gives the measurement of the radius of curvature, and when it is divided by 2, then it will give us the focal length of this convex mirror under consideration. It must be noted that this image needle I, it lies exactly at the position of the center of curvature of this convex mirror. This distance between the convex lens and this image needle I, it can be easily found, isn't it? And in the earlier case, the distance between the convex lens and the convex mirror, it can also be noted down. So this distance is known to us and this distance is known to us. So when this distance is subtracted from this distance, it will give us the value of PC, which is the radius of curvature of this convex mirror. And as stated earlier, when this radius of curvature is divided by 2, then it will give us the focal length of this convex mirror. Let us now try to understand the procedure to locate the center of curvature of the convex mirror through this video.
A convex lens whose rough focal length has been found is placed between the convex mirror and the object needle. The object needle is placed at a distance about 1.5 times the rough focal length of the convex lens. When a convex lens is introduced between convex mirror and object needle and their relative positions are adjusted such that there is no parallax between the object needle and its inverted image when seen through both the lens and the mirror, then the rays will fall normally on the convex mirror. These rays, when extended, meet behind the mirror at the center of curvature. At this position, there is no parallax between the object needle and its inverted image. Now, we need to note the position of the object needle, convex lens and the convex mirror. The position of the convex mirror in the optical bench is found to be 50 centimeter. Now, in order to locate the position of center of curvature, the convex mirror is removed. Without disturbing the convex lens and the object needle, now an image needle is adjusted in such a way that there is no parallax between the tip of this image needle and the inverted image of the tip of the object needle. This is how the position of the image needle will give the position of center of curvature. The position of the image needle when the parallax is removed is found to be 8.5 centimeter.
So students, what we have discussed in the video is that in case 1, we have made use of 3 uprights, isn't it? One upright containing convex mirror, the other containing object needle, and at the center, the upright consists of the convex lens. And by removing the parallax between the object needle and its inverted image, the position of the convex mirror can be easily noted down, right? And in the second case, students, what we do is the convex mirror is removed and instead an image needle is placed over here, right? So now the parallax is removed between the object and the image needle, right? So in that case, the position of the image can be determined. Now, as per our observation, the position of the convex mirror, it was found to be at 50 centimeter, while the position of the image needle, it was at 8.5 centimeter. So by knowing the position of the convex mirror and the position of the image needle, this distance pi, it can be easily determined, and this pi, this will give us the value of the radius of curvature. So again I repeat, students, in the observation table we need to repeat the steps, right, so as to obtain the position of the convex mirror as well as the image needle, right? So by knowing the position of the convex mirror and the image needle, this distance can be easily found, and this distance will give us the value of radius of curvature. So now let us complete this observation table. Students, we are aware that the index correction in our case is determined to be minus 0.5 centimeter, right? And the first observation was the position of the convex mirror. It is 50 centimeter. The position of the upright with the image needle when the parallax is removed, it is 8.5 centimeter. So this is the position of the convex mirror, this is the position of the image needle. And as I've stated, the distance between the convex mirror and the image needle, that will give us the observed distance of the radius of curvature. So observed distance of the radius of curvature would be 50 minus 8.5. So it will be 50 minus 8.5. So that will give us 41.5 centimeter. Right? Now students, the corrected distance. Since here we have considered the index correction, and index correction is to be algebraically added to the observed distance so as to obtain the corrected distance. So here it would be 41.5 plus minus, it will be minus 0.5. So that will give us 41 centimeter, right? And focal length, students, this we are aware, it is half of the radius of curvature. So in this case, it will be 41 by 2. So that will give us 20.5 in centimeters. Now similarly, students, by proceeding as was discussed in steps in the video, we need to repeat the experiment at least 4 times by changing the distance of the object needle from the convex lens by 1-2 centimeter in each observations, and then we can record the positions of the convex mirror and the image needle, and we can proceed in the similar manner so as to obtain the focal length in those observations. After recording all these 4 observations in this tabular form, we can determine the focal length of the convex mirror by finding the average or the arithmetic mean of all these observed values of the focal length, right? So the focal length, this is the result basically, the focal length of the convex mirror, it will be given by the arithmetic mean of all these 4 values. Arithmetic mean is sum of all the observations divided by total number of observations. So f1 plus f2 plus f3 plus f4 divided by 4. So substituting these values, what we get is f, it would be equal to 20.5 plus 19.85 plus 20.05 plus 20.4 divided by 4. So students, it comes out to be about 20.2 centimeter. So that's the result. While performing this experiment, there are several precautions which needs to be taken care of. One is the tips of the optical needles, center of convex lens and the center of the convex mirror should all lie in one line. The second precaution which you need to take is the parallax should be removed from tip to tip. It should be from tip to tip coincidence. And students, most importantly, the object needle and the convex lens should not be disturbed while removing the convex mirror. And obviously, the index correction, it should be applied to the observed radius of curvature of the convex mirror, right? So, the focal length of the convex mirror in our experiment is obtained to be 20.2 centimeter. So students, I sincerely hope that I am able to convince you the concepts involved in this particular experiment, right? So do practice this experiment in your respective physics lab and keep watching my videos. Thank you, students.